Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking time away from your Thanksgiving preparations to join us tonight. I'm Terry Hauser, and it's my honor to be chair of Agenda Alexandria this season. Tonight, we're focused on our city's firefighting resources. Pay very close attention if you're contemplating a fried turkey on Thursday. Seriously, though, we hope you find the information provided by this and all of our programs helpful as we work together to make Alexandria a better place to live, work, and raise our families. We wouldn't be able to provide you with these quality programs without the support of our wonderful sponsors, starting with our host for this season, the Hermitage of Northern Virginia, and Jody Manor of Bittersweet, who is providing our catering. I'd also like to recognize and thank our returning sponsors, whose ongoing support is greatly appreciated. The Alexandria Chamber of Commerce, Ann Wynn of State Farm Insurance, Barbara Anderson of Life and Estate Planning Law Center, David Speck of Speck Quadrant Investment Group, Wells Fargo Advisors, Frank Fannin of SunTrust Bank. I know that Frank is here. Thank you, Frank. Donna and Tobin James of Honest Air Heating and Air Conditioning. And Donna is also serving as at the bar. Gant Redman of Redmond, Peyton, and Braswell. Thank you, Gant. Willem Pollock and Charlotte Hall of the Potomac Riverboat Company, and William D. Ewell. We're also delighted to welcome as new sponsors this season, Katie Gilchrist of Maid Brigade, Jerry Vernon of the Alexandria Gazette Packet, and Derek Limas of Municipal Media Services, LLC. Derek and Rodney Clark in the back record our forums for replay at Comcast on channels 69 and 70, and you can watch them Monday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. and Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Agenda's members are among the most active and involved in our city, and we invite anyone who is currently serving on a board, commission, or task force to share materials that you think others might be interested in on our resource table over there on my right. Just give your materials to our executive director, Sherry Brown, at the welcome table, or to anyone wearing name badges with red ribbons. Those are our board members, and I'd like to ask them all to stand up now and be recognized. I know we have some guests here tonight, and if you're here as a guest, I want to encourage you to join Agenda Alexandria. You'll find membership forms at the welcome and resource tables, and for those who are already members, please take a couple of forms to share with friends who might be interested in joining us. Let them know that we have some really great programs coming up. We won't meet in December, but Agenda will be back in business on January 26th, and our focus will be an issue that tops almost everyone's list for frustration, interest, aggravation: transportation. We'll look at our crowded grid and all the various ways we move people on it. And we've got a truly unique event on tap in February. We'll be looking at what I like to call Alexandria's libaceous history, from George Washington's distillery to our present day breweries and bars. You won't want to miss it. Also, April will be our hot topic. You can still make suggestions tonight. Just fill it out on one of those sheets of paper on your table and leave it with Sherry on your way out. Tonight, we ask if Alexandria is playing with fire, as the city makes plans to move and consolidate firehouses and open new ones. I'd like to invite Connie West and our panel to the stage and to thank our organizers, Tim Ahern, Roger Wad, and Connie West. And I'd like to remind you to write down your questions on the colored papers as our speakers are making their presentations. Our board members will come by and pick up the questions at the end of the presentations so our speakers can respond. And please, take time to write legibly so our program chairs don't have to struggle with bad handwriting. Thank you all, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Terry, and I'm pleased to introduce tonight's panel excuse me, for a program we have entitled Playing with Fire. I hasten to assure you that fire is nothing to be played with. The first responders in the fire service are there all day and night in fair weather or blizzard, and they seldom come to our notice unless it is our house that is burning or our family that has a medical emergency. As a member of the city's EMS Council, I have an opportunity to see the extraordinary work that our EMS personnel do and realize, thank you, and realize how fortunate we are to have the quality of service that we have in Alexandria. Tonight's panel does not reflect any controversy involving the department, but hopefully it is an opportunity to learn more about the remarkable city employees who man the 10 fire stations around the city. As with all city agencies, the budget is a crucial matter, and we citizens should be concerned that this vital city agency is adequately funded. We had hoped to introduce the new fire chief, Robert Duvet, as a panelist, but as he told us when I introduced him at last month's meeting, tonight is his 24th wedding anniversary, and he plans to celebrate it somewhere other than at the Hermitage. He has designated Assistant Fire Chief Dwayne Bonnet to represent the department, and we are looking forward to the information that he can provide on the status and plans for 2015 and beyond, and also the budget concerns facing the department. He also brought along a wingman. He calls him Matt Bose. He's not a panelist, but he will be here to answer any questions that he can help with. Our second panelist is Patrick Evans, who has over a dozen years of service as an Alexandria firefighter, and who is also president of the Black Fire Service Professionals of Alexandria. We hope to learn from him some of the ongoing training that is required and perhaps get some insight into what it is like to be a firefighter on a daily and nightly basis. Our final panelist is Tom Soaps, president of NOTICE, which is an acronym for North Old Town Independent Citizens. Tom has an active role in civic activism in the city and is a representative to the Alexandria Federation of Civic Associations. We're hoping to hear from Tom about the citizens' role and oversight of the department, perhaps as exemplified from the experience last year when decisions were made regarding transfer of equipment in order to staff the new firehouse on Eisenhower Avenue. They'll all be looking for your questions after the presentation, so please use the colored slips of paper on your tables to submit your questions, which will be picked up by our board members later. So the panel will come up and take their seats, and we'll get started. Wherever you want.
See me back?
I told them that Chief Bonnet would speak first, and I'll just let them turn it over to each other as they go.
All right, you want me to come up there and speak?
I think we'll just do it.
Am I good here? All right, good evening, everybody. Can you see? Sorry for those I can't see over there. Is it all right if I go to the podium? Yeah.
You want to move this?
Yeah, we can let's just move it.
I guess I can go back over here. Start again. Good evening, everybody. Ah, that's better. Hey, Lonnie. How's everybody doing? Are you gonna just? But you said there was a clicker. Yeah. Oh, coming back.
Right. Okay.
I'll come to the podium. Do it from the podium. I'll do it from the podium. I look better standing up. All right, try this third time. Good evening, everybody. All right. First, on behalf of Chief Dubé, as you heard, his boss had better plans for him, so he couldn't make it. So I have a brief presentation for you, but it's exciting. I think you'll like it. And just go ahead and, all right, imagine that. All right, so what I've been asked to present and I'll talk about is just the plans for our stations for the next few years. I'll talk a little bit about what we have and where we're going and some things that we're doing. And I guess I'll be taking questions also. Get right into it. These are the current facilities we have. I won't read them all. We have 9 stations online and a 10th one slated to open. We hope to get it from General Services in December sometime. And soon after then, we're guessing around January. It'll take some time. We'll get in there and we'll have some things we need to do to get operationalize the building. So once we get in there, and I'll talk a little bit about that. All of the stations have different, various types of apparatus in them. So I won't explain all that. Some have engines. Most of them have engines. Some will have trucks. Some have medic units, EMS supervisor, various levels of responding apparatus in them. At 204, that is our headquarters station. So that's a station downstairs. Everybody's heard about 204, I'm sure, if you're around within the last year. And that's our headquarters upstairs. 209 is our most recent station. That's the Potomac Yard Station. Okay, so that's our newest facility that we have. That's it's an engine in it, but it's also our hazardous materials team. So some of the different stations, Firefighter Evans works at 201. That's our marine operations team. And as you all know, or maybe have seen, we have a new boat that we've got from a grant. At 206, which was on the last slide, which is our Seminary Road station, we have our technical rescue response team there. And at 209 is our hazmat team. The other facilities that we have of the shop, where that maintains our vehicles, our professional development center, which is at the Lee Center on the east end. At Station 210, and I'll talk about it, we're going to also have a professional development center on the lower level on the west end, and we'll talk about that. And then we also have our burn building. You probably haven't seen that. That's on the sanitation plant property. Okay, it's a city property, but it's right there where the sanitation plant is, and that's where we go practice our live burns and other drills. All right, so these are a couple things we're going to talk about here. A lot of our facilities are aged, and continue to age, to be aging. So we have a station renovation schedule. We also are with Office of Performance Accountability. Is that right, Matt? We're doing a station location study. That's where they're going to look, and we'll talk a little about it to see if where we have everything is where it should be. Okay, and Station 210 will be the Eisenhower Avenue station. And we'll also talk a little bit about a proposed Station 211, which is on Beauregard Street. So this is an example of, well, not an example, this is the station renovations. This is our plan. So in the out years, so 203 is scheduled to be, which is our Cameron Mills station, is the next station that's slated to be renovated. The level of renovation, we have planned to actually tear it down and build a new station on that property. Right now, that's slated to be on that property. So we talked about the station relocation. That's not part of that right now, the way the plans are, and unless somebody makes a change, that station will be rebuilt right there on the property. May change, the configuration may change. What we're trying to do when we rebuild these stations is think, again, for the future. A lot of these stations, I think 208, which is on Paxton Street, is over 30 years old. So before 209, that was our latest station. So you try to think, this station needs to be around for 30 years, 40 years. So in doing that, we try to put some thought into how big it is, what it can hold. It's an opportunity for us to increase our capacity with something. And I won't read all of the stations there, but let's point out 211. Now that's in 16, it says to start. Now these start and finish days will change. It all depends on, this isn't just the fire department doing this. This is other city agencies, budget, general services, these are capital improvement projects, other things are going on. So for example, if schools becomes a priority, these could get bumped and moved if somebody else has another priority. All right, but right now, this is our plan. The 211 station will be interesting. 209 was a station that we were able to get with the community's help, the builder helping us build that station. And 211, we think, is going to be, at least right now, might be part of that. All right there, Matt, part of that, which is good because that helps us go ahead and put that earlier in the cycle. If it had to be through the capital improvement money, we'd have to plan for it to be later and just come online. So that's a need, definitely one of the needed stations that we have. And we'll look at the city where our call volume is right out here where we are. This side of the city is on this side of 395. We don't have any fire stations, so it's needed. And then the other stations there you can see for a total of about $49 million. And obviously that's today's prices, so obviously that could go up. The station location study through the Office of Performance Accountability, what they're doing there is looking at the city. They'll look at call volumes, where the calls are, stations' response times. Are we meeting our response times? And the question there that they'll look at is, are the stations in the right place? Okay, and this is where I heard you have on your thing playing with fire and consolidation. Right now, if you saw in our plans, we don't have any plans to consolidate. That's not in the plans. Okay, we're building and keeping what it is, and actually, if we can, we like to expand. But with this study, the study could say that consolidation of a station, moving two stations to a certain location would be more advantageous, and combining the apparatus that are in those stations would be better, more efficient, cost savings and all that. If that comes out of the study, it absolutely could happen, but we don't have that in our current plans to do. And as you see there, again, I don't like to read the slides, but are we meeting our response capabilities? Can we enhance them? Is our apparatus in the right place? Right here, we have our rescue squad at the Seminary Road Station, and it's great here for 395, but it doesn't cover downtown. We get a lot of help from Fairfax and Arlington in the downtown areas because our rescue squad is up here, and it's what we call single pull, meaning the people in that station staff the engine and the rescue. So if they're out on the engine, the rescue is just sitting there and it won't go on a call. We'll get a rescue from somewhere else. All right, so these are the types of things that the study will look at. They may say, move the rescue to center of the city somewhere. All right, that's something that could come out of the study. And that study is being led by the Office of Performance Accountability. So Station 210, our newest station, and it is very nice, pretty state-of-the-art. It's got a geothermal system in there. This station is going to be a 4-bay station. It's going to have a professional development. If you see in the second picture there, that's actually the back side of the station. That's going to house our professional development center west, if you will, our training center in the west end. So with this station, once we open, we'll have a training division on the east end by the Lee Center, excuse me, and this training division in the west end. What we hope to do with the Lee Center, and I was talking to the ladies and gentlemen at the table, we don't have the fires and the call volume that we used to have, okay? We don't have, which is good. I don't want to say problem, but the issue is that the personnel don't get the experience. So what we're talking about doing with our East End Training Center is turning into a simulation lab. And that's where, especially the medics, Supervisor Phillips back there, they do a lot of training with the simulation, using the dummy mannequin to train with. So we hope to be able to turn that station into more of a simulation station. And this station has what's called a high bay. I don't know if you can see all the glass here on the right, which we can do in inclement weather. We can do a lot of the training we need to do inside, so we can continue to train even in inclement weather. That's also going to have, we have to use our SCBA. That's also going to house the crews and apparatus that fill our SCBA, work on them, and that sort of thing. Here is Station 211. Now, this is just proposed right now. Again, as you can see, it's just a sketch right now. I don't know that land's been acquired and all of that, but as part of the building out up here, there's a proposal, and we've talked about, and we need a Station 211 on this side of the city. We don't have anything on this side of 395, so this station would greatly enhance our capabilities. We get a lot of help, assistance from the surrounding county, mostly Fairfax, in this area, some Arlington as you get further north. But this will give us some great capabilities on this side to enhance our response time to this area, this community of the city, this area of the city. Last slide is a map there just to give you an idea of the call volume. And without going through all the lines, you see the darker areas, the darkest areas is where the greater call volume is. And if you'll see on the left there, you see 395, the little white strip, and you see on that side a lot of call volume. And so that, we're able to get there with our Seminary Road station. We're meeting our response goals, but as they build up, as the community builds up, and as more people move in, and as there's more demand on the system, that'll be harder to maintain without either getting outside assistance or without putting a firehouse on that side, so fire station. So that's why that's one is a push for us. The 210 station is down, if you don't know, is down here. So that's the Eisenhower station. That's where that station will be. The other black diamonds are the stations located. It's not, the 210 is not on the map. It's not open yet. The other black diamonds are the locations of our other fire stations. And there's the beautiful fireboat that we just got. That's really it for our plans for the stations. It's really pretty simple. Like I said, on your thing, the consolidating station, right now, no plans to consolidate. We're trying to continue to build and get the personnel to staff the stations and increase our capabilities as much as possible. But that's all I have. Do I keep going? Or okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, how's everyone doing this evening? Chief Barnett already started it for us, telling you about everything that we do at the stations. And what I'm going to tell you is what we do as firefighters. Now, I always once wasn't a firefighter, and I had many questions just as you guys have too. What does a firefighter really, what do we do? Well, when I first started, I played professional basketball before I was a firefighter. So vastly different, vastly different.
No way.
And I got hurt, so I rehabbed a year, and I met a gentleman who was a firefighter at a place where I was training at. And he told me about the fire department. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and give this a try. Because at the time, my wife was pregnant with our first son, and I had another deal to go and play in the country of Cyprus. And she did not want to have a child in a newborn city a newborn in the city of Cyprus. So we said, okay, what we'll do, I'll see about doing something over here. And I was talking to one of the guys in the gym, and he said, yeah, we only work 10 days a month. He was a chief, and he made 6 figures, and some of the guys had like over $1 million in their retirement account. So I kind of did a look, and I said, a firefighter? And he said, yes. So I said, I didn't think that firefighters did that. I can take this out. Okay. I didn't realize that, firefighters were, made as much money as they did and worked as less what they did. That's what my initial thoughts were until I actually started doing it. And I realized how hard of a job firefighting is. It's a long process to get into it. The first thing you have to do, you actually have to apply for the position, as any job you will have to. Now, a lot of people apply for positions and they'll, get a couple calls, get interviews and everything. Well, that's later on down the line. You have to actually do other things prior to that. You have to come and take a test, a written test. Once you take the written test, you have to pass it. Now, when I came in, I know it was like 2,500 applicants, and they were only originally looking to hire 9 people. So I'm thinking to myself, man, it was tougher. This is tougher than what it was trying to get up and play professional basketball. The odds were a lot higher. So I actually hunkered down, did the test, and then I found out that you had to make like a 95 or better because there were so many applicants and they were only getting so little people. So on your written test, you had to get a 95%. Accomplished that. Next thing we had to do was a physical agility test, which consists of a lot of obstacles that you'll do as a firefighter. Having the athletic background that I did, that wasn't a problem for me. I passed that with no problem. Then we had a series of panel interviews. If you got past that, you had an interview with the chief. After that, you had psychological tests, and then you had medical evaluation. If you got through everything, then you got your letter saying that, welcome to the city of Alexandria. That's, in a nutshell, is the hiring process. Of the hiring process, you have recruit school. And recruit school is a little different. I had probably been out of school. I graduated college, and back then was 96, and I played like 3 years over in Europe. So this was around 2000, 2001 when I was trying to become a firefighter. And in recruit school, it was like maybe 3 times the work that I did when I was in college, because it was 8 hours a day, every single day. Now in college, you have every other day for your classes, so you get downtime. The class is only an hour. It's fine, but this is a very accelerated program. It's like doing getting an associate's degree, basically what is a 2-year process in 6 months, and that really is it's a fast pace, especially if you haven't had any experience doing anything fire related as well. When you get in recruit school, the process consists of EMT school as well as fire school. All of the firefighters in the city of Alexandria are all EMTBs. That means we are emergency medical technicians. So we can and we will provide any type of emergency medical care that anyone would need. Where we're different from our paramedics is that they provide advanced life support, where we provide basic life support. And advanced life support, they're more on the cardiac needs, and also they can administer medicine. We can give maybe 4 different types of medicines, and it have to be prescribed to you already. However, they can give you medicine that's not prescribed to you if you're that far gone and in that much danger. So that's where our difference between the paramedics and the fire is. So when you're in fire school, you actually have you go through your EMT process first, because if you can't pass EMT, there's no way you could be a firefighter. And EMT is probably the tougher process of learning everything. So you go through, and that's like an accelerated 4-week process to learn, a book probably about that thick in 4 weeks. So you have to hunker down, you have to study, and then you have to pass a state test that they give you. Once you pass that test, then they move on to the fire portion of the recruit school. Now in the fire portion, you have a lot of studying to do as well, but you also have physical tests to do in the fire portion as well. So you'll have to do stuff like pulling lines, throwing ladders, dragging dummies. I can say in this instance, not mannequins, but actually 175-pound dummies. Some dummies that weigh more than our firefighters themselves. So we actually have very big shoes that we got to fill, and we have to perform the job in a way that a lot of people don't understand what we're doing on a daily basis. And this is just all in recruit school. You learn, you go through mass maze, you're in live fire situations, and it gets to the point where you do it so much that it becomes second nature, and you learn the job well. So when we get out of recruit school, you have a probationary year. Your probationary year pretty much have you go through everything you did in recruit school, and have you do it even more. But now you're on the street as a firefighter. So you follow what you see your other fellow firefighters doing, and then they actually help train you, and you get more in-depth knowledge. So now you're actually doing the job that you were training to do, just a few months ago for those 6 months. And then you realize when you're on the street that the training that you do really gets you to the point that makes you a good firefighter or good medic or a combination, because we actually have people that are both in our department. You have while you're in recruit school, is 24 weeks long, And it's very competitive because the way you score in recruit school, you have tests, you have quizzes every day, you have tests every week, and you get a grade for that, and then you also get grade for your physical tests. So at the end of recruit school, you get a grade, and whoever scores the highest finishes like first in the class, and whoever scores the least finishes last. So now there's a pecking order, and that helps when it comes time for taking leave, like during the holidays and everything. If you want to have Thanksgiving off, if you do better in your recruit school, then you can beat out everyone else in your class. So you want to actually do well in the recruit school. Try to get the best score you can get. Once you graduate recruit school, you get into your stations. You probably won't see your classmates again for probably like another year or so, especially if you go on different shifts. If you're on the same shift, there's a good chance you'll see the ones that's in your area. We have the city is split. The map that he had up there, Quaker Lane is pretty much a dividing line, but yeah, this map right in the middle. As you can see where all the triangles are, most of the triangles are on the Old Town side, and then you see the one triangle down at 207 at the bottom, and you see 206 and 208. Those are the only two stations we have on that side of Quaker Lane. So a lot of times if you're at where I'm at Station 201 in Old Town, you very rarely see the guys out at Station 208 because they're so far away. So the guys that you've been in school with and that you were a part of your team, you don't really see that often. Now you get a new team of guys, and these are guys who have already been here, consisting of guys that's been here, some for 30 years, and then you get some that's been here like, 2 or 3 years when you first start. So it's a mixture, and you have to be, your personality has to be such where you can handle a lot of ribbon as a rookie, because you get a lot of practical jokes played on you, things like that, but still the job is serious, taken serious. So you got to have thick skin, but you also have to be willing and be able to do the job, and you have to be ready whenever it's gone. Do your probationary year, you got to learn the routine of being a firefighter, and then you also have a quarterly, you have a probationary manual that you get that you have to perform. You have every quarter you have something that you have to do. So your crew will train you that whole time. Once your crew trains you, you'll go for that quarter, you'll have a test. You pass that test, and now you have other quarters that will actually get you through. So once you get to that fourth quarter, that fourth test, which takes a year, you will actually be offered probation, and you'll be a firefighter. And during that firefighter, the first thing you have to understand is you're going to have to be ready at all times. As soon as that bell rings, no matter what you're doing, and I mean no matter what you're doing, in the middle of the shower, using the bathroom, anything, the bell rings, you have to stop what you're doing and you have to get out and go. And that's what we have to do. You also have to fall back to your level of training. We train so much and we do stuff over and over, it gets so redundant that you're like, man, we know this. But when it actually gets going and it hits the fan, everything is second nature, and you're doing stuff that you don't really realize that you're doing it because you've done it so much, and it's become second nature to you. While you're there, you're going to take as many classes as possible during that probationary year because you're trying to learn your job and you're trying to learn as much as you can. And so you're taking as many classes as you possibly can. A lot of the time now, the way the situation of the city is now, we have to provide our own finances for these classes. We have to go out and get all these classes on our own. When I first came in the city sent us to a lot of classes, but now we have to actually do things on our own. So not every firefighter can afford it, but to actually get to a better place where we all can get that financial back, it'll be great for the firefighters to have. And then lastly, you got to learn to become a leader, because all the guys that's starting out now, eventually they're going to become the next officers in the department, so that you definitely have to learn that. Now, everyone always asks me, what's a typical day that a firefighter do? And we basically, when we come in the morning, first thing we're going to do is relieve the off-going shift. So you got guys who been working all night because we work 24-hour shifts, and they're ready to go home in the morning. So you get there, and they basically tell you everything they did the day before and tell you anything that needs to be done for that upcoming day. So you'll relieve them. We get a morning conference call, and that pretty much lets everyone in the department know what's going on, and every station what's going on. Then you'll have a morning meeting at your specific station to prepare your day, let you know what's happening that day. After that, we'll probably hit the housework because where our stations are our homes, our second homes pretty much. So we make our own beds, we mop our own floors, we clean our own dishes, everything we do. So we have to actually do the housework before we get going with our day. And then we have 3 work activities. We have a morning activity, an afternoon activity, and an evening activity. And during those activities, the things you're going to get accomplished are drills, physical training, so you go work out, go to the store because we provide our own lunch, our own dinner, we cook our own meals, and a lot of people didn't realize that. They thought that the department, pays for all this stuff, but no, we pay for it ourselves, and we'll go and we'll do all the cooking ourselves. And there's a lot of good cooks in the fire department too, so if a lot of unmarried women out here want to look for a man there, I tell you what, you have good cooks if you can find them. Because we're mostly a male-dominated field. However, we do have female firefighters. They can cook also, but the males are better. Don't let me tell you. So, but we also have target solutions that we have to do, which is a lot of drills that are computer generated. So we have to test out and do those type of things on there. We also have study periods because we have to study ourselves. Like, you're taking a promotional test, and every promotional test that you have to take consists of probably I would say about 10 books, and each book have like over 1,000 pages in it. So that's like over 10,000 pages of studying, and each test probably consists of 100 questions that are very specific. So you're basically like trying to memorize 10,000 pages worth of stuff. So you have to study, and it's not just like you can cram for a test and then go. You have to keep doing it ongoing, and it has to commit it to memory. So you have to study. And then you have community engagement as well. So we'll go out, like my organization, I'm the president of the Black Fire Service Professionals of Alexandria. On Saturday, we had a turkey basket giveaway that we're doing. Today, prior to coming here, I actually had to go get 15 turkeys for our families that need it. So we also have community engagement that we have to do, and have to make sure our faces are seen, and the community know that the fire department are actually supporting and doing what we can for them. The makeup of the department, I would say we have, right now, currently, we consist of 1 fire chief, 3 assistant chiefs, 10 battalion chiefs, 29 captains, 19 lieutenants, and approximately 120 firefighters. I know Chief Dubé presented to council that he wanted to reduce one of the assistant chiefs from 2 to 3 and make 3 deputy chiefs and move and limit, I guess, reduce 2 battalion chiefs. And that will actually give us probably a stronger hold in our upward mobility. And if you notice, like the 29 captains and 19 lieutenants, a lot of places usually go in a pyramid shape when they go with their hierarchy. Ours kind of going like an hourglass. And 19 lieutenants, when you're going from 120 firefighters to get to 19 lieutenants, the lieutenant is probably the toughest part to get because you have so much competition. Once you become a lieutenant, it's 29 captains, so you got 19 people trying to get 29 spots. So mostly everyone become a lieutenant will become a captain. Just getting to that lieutenant part is the hardest first. We have, like Chief Bonnet told you, we have specialties. We have hazmat, tech rescue, marine operations, and mass repair. They're all Station 209 is our hazmat station. That's probably the most utilized specialty. Is state funded, and it actually gives the department a higher rating having hazmat station in there. Tech rescue is at Station 206. They have a rescue squad, like the chief was saying. Doing the study, you may find out that it's better to actually be in the middle of the city where the rescue can run the entire city, and then marine operations at Station 201, the fireboat. We are, of course, on the Potomac River, and we handle any type of emergencies that may arise on the water. We've had plenty of rescues with our old boat, jet ski incidents, jumpers from the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Fire boats, actually going out to the Spirit of Washington, to the Cherry Blossom. We've had several incidents that the fireboat has actually been very instrumental in helping out the citizens, even though they all might not have been from Alexandria, but, just people on the water that there's definitely a need. And we've had a couple of incidents where the fireboat has actually helped pump water to the vehicles on fire on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. It's easier to get the water up there and a standpipe on the bridge system than trying to relay a whole bunch of fire engines and putting out a fire that way. So out of all those specialties, you need money and you need funding to actually help these programs go. And we don't want to rely on like a Fairfax or Arlington to be our only specialty. So therefore, we take pride and try to get as much training as we can throughout our specialties. I'm a member of the hazmat team and marine operations team, and just I guess we worked Friday and Sunday. And Friday, I had an 8-hour hazmat class, and then we had fireboat training all night. So that day just was a blur because you were doing nothing but constant training. I know a lot of people think that all firemen do is sit down and watch TV and just wait for the tones to go off, but I can't remember the last day I had a day like that where I could just sit down and watch TV. So we are really working. You have a lot of our employees are so new, like the chief said, that we have to continuously train and make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. Now, we've had, what Chief Barnett said, we had a lot of turnover here recently. And because of that, we have departments like Fairfax or Arlington that may pay a little bit higher than Alexandria does. So what happens, a lot of guys, they're here for a while and then they see they can go over there and actually make more money, and they actually apply. And once they get their paramedic or something like that, they become more attractive to those other cities. So they go over there, and then next thing you know, we're losing people. So right now in this next class that we're going to start in January, will probably consist of about 30 firefighters. And that's a big class for a city like us to hold. We did one other class at 31. It was a challenge. We got through them, and it was a pretty good class. But we like to tend to keep a class of around 20, just 20 or under students to just for the resources and the logistics of everything. So it's going to be tough, but we've been doing it for this long, and we want to continue to do it. And in closing, this is a process every firefighter in Alexandria experienced throughout their career. With the proper training, funding, and opportunity, we strive to provide the best service delivery to the city that we can have. Any questions, or do you wait for that? Okay.
I've enjoyed hearing folks from the fire department tonight and learning a lot about it. My presentation is going to be obviously a considerably different vein. When Roger Wad called me several months ago and asked me to do this and to focus on the Engine 204 controversy from last spring, my first response was, well, I'm not the best person to do that. The really best person was Mary Jane Kramer. Mary Jane was president of the Northeast Citizens Association in the area that was immediately surrounding the Engine 204 area. Mary Jane and colleagues, and we worked with her in notice as well, because Engine 204 covers our area also. She brought to the controversy considerable energy. Those of you who know Mary Jane know that once you get her excited about something, she is an engine herself who goes very hard. The concern from the citizens about the issue of Engine 204, and for those of you who don't remember it, it was an issue of taking the engine away from the 204 station and moving it to another part of the city. The concern that came was not just losing a fire engine. It was based on a genuine fear that the citizens in Northeast Old Town had that this represented a critical loss of fire protection for the people of North Old Town Alexandria. A number of the people there live in older buildings, not built to current fire code. Some of them live in high-rise buildings, like the Alexandria House, for one, which is 22 stories high. Marina Towers, that's 15 stories. And they were genuinely concerned that response times would be significantly reduced by the loss of this engine. The process that Mary Jane and all of us who worked with her was to inform the citizens of what was going on, inform them of what was happening. And Mary Jane did a very great job in doing some detailed research on everything from water pressure, which we understood was lower in our area of Old Town than it is in others, to other aspects of firefighting and the amount of calls and the like. She developed a lot of signs for people to put in windows. She and I authored a letter to the editor at the packet that was published that detailed what our concerns were. We spoke with our respective organizations, member organizations. She also organized a rally on a Sunday afternoon right outside Engine 204, their firehouse. She got television media as well as the writing press to come and to publicize the issue. And I believe it did actually get some airtime on Channel 5. She also reached out to a number of other leaders within the city. And at that rally, a number of people spoke of their own concerns and their own experiences. One of whom was Megan Byer, the wife of Don Byer, who's now Congressman-elect, spoke from an actual experience of a fire in their own home and the need for prompt response from the fire department in that case. Mary Jane and her husband also had experienced a fire. And so they were working from personal experience of knowing that how fast these guys get there is important. Just like they say in heart attacks and in fires, seconds count. This was the concern, and this was the message. And it was a genuinely personal response that was coming from a great many of the citizens of North Old Town, of those who had experienced a problem or those who had understood the situation, and who then felt that, yeah, this was a serious personal human issue. The response from the city was sort of a textbook type of response, a textbook-like analysis by the numbers. Here's the number of calls we get. Here's the number of calls from here, this place, and this place. And while the information, I'm sure, was accurate, that type of response failed to respond to the human element in this controversy. And I think that is one of the central issues that has to be thought about in terms of planning of the response and the capability of the city in dealing with particularly emergency issues like police or fire protection. And what we saw, and what ways Mary Jane and I phrased it in the letter that was published in the packet, was what was happening within the city budget process was simply a rob Peter to pay Paul approach of take it from one here to here to try to work within a very restricted budget. I have had a long career in the federal government as a program manager, so I understand budget making and the trials that there are. You always have limits, and you're always trying to set some priorities, and you're always faced with, here's 5 things I'd really like to do or need to do, and I've only got the money to do 3 of them. Which do I choose? But that is the point, that there is a choice. And what this incident, what this episode of Engine 204 brought to the fore it seemed to us, was a lack of overall strategic vision for police and fire protection for the city. Police and fire protection are fundamental critical elements of what local government must do. It is a first-line responsibility that does have to be met in this and in every city. There'll always be, of course, more that you could do than is possible, but this is still a very first-line responsibility. And it appeared to us that this seemed to be some rather haphazard and sort of by-the-numbers effort that lacked a larger vision of what should be done. And as represented, my colleagues were talking about loss of firemen because of salaries and the like. Last Thursday night at our notice member meeting, we had a representative from the police department who spoke on this very subject, citing the same thing. They spend a great deal of time, $111,000 each for every police recruit that they hire in training, and soon lose a great number of them to other local jurisdictions who can pay more money. So both our fire and police departments are facing an issue of resources. And again, it comes back to strategic vision for the city. We also, this episode also touched on another large issue that faces the city, and that is the very rapid development within the city. Northeast Old Town is one of the areas that is very rapidly growing in population. The locus of population of Alexandria is moving north. And this was an effort that was taking an essential element of fire protection out of the north end over to somewhere else. So again, it raises the question of not only strategic vision, but also touches into the development issue. Oftentimes we hear that the rationale for supporting substantial development within the city is that this brings in more tax dollars and the like. And so it raises the question here, is all of this development really bringing in the resources that's needed to provide and support the essential city services that are now being demanded by the new development? Those are the 2 broad issues that this episode highlighted. But and also another issue, and it goes back to the efforts of Mary Jane and many of her colleagues, and I was I was of some small help to her, but she was the main force. It showed that we were successful in getting Engine 204 retained in our area. It shows that passion, detailed research can get results. If you do work hard, if you do work on an issue, you can get some results within our city. You don't always get everything you want. You don't always get maybe anything that you want. But it does, in fact, work very often. If you do your homework and you do work and develop support for your position, that sometimes you can win. You can win your argument. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. That's a very interesting perspective, and thanks to all of our panelists. We have colored squares of paper on your table, and Agenda Alexandria board members will be around to pick up your questions, and we'll as soon as we get some questions, we'll get started on our Q&A session. I actually received one question as I was arriving tonight that someone left with our executive director, and so I'll start with that. The person asked, states that they understand that ambulance service has been reduced at the Powhatan Fire Station, and asking if that is so, and are there plans, and what are those plans for restoring ambulance service at the Powhatan Station?
So to date, that's our station 204. The service hasn't been cut yet. That particular medic unit was slated, it used to be a peak staffing medic unit. Last budget cycle to open station 210, the personnel that are on that medic unit was slated to go to 210. The station wasn't open, but we had the personnel. So we went ahead and put the personnel on the medic unit to put it in service. That enhanced our capabilities for EMS response, and it was there until we opened Station 210, at which time the plan was always to put that medic unit at Station 210. So that's still the current plan. That was that station's, as long as I've been here, we never had a full-time medic unit there for a period of time. I talked about the peak staffing units. When we went to that type of response, we had a peak staffing unit, which from, I believe it was 07 in the morning to 1900 at night. There were some other hours when we first started, but basically that unit would go in service just for the peak hours and only if we had staffing to cover it. Once we got the funding for Station 210 and that personnel, that medic unit was slated and always has been slated to go to 210, and that's currently the plan.
One other issue on that, the medic unit also was there to provide training opportunities, physical training opportunities for the other medic units on the street, because they run so many calls and they spend a lot of time at the hospital once they are at the call. So it was put in service to actually provide for another avenue where we can actually get more medics trained in that instance as well. So now with the opening of Station 210, Medic 204 will be shifted over to 210 Station.
Okay, so it sounds to me like the answer is that it was a part-time ambulance service or medicine unit at the Powhatan Station, and it was always a plan that it was only part-time interim and was due to move to 210 when that happened. And there's no plan. Is there the prime time support, to coin a phrase, is that at an end as 210 opens for that station?
Yeah, the peak time went away July of this year when that personnel that it was that we were, the FTEs that we got for Station 210, they went on that medic unit starting July of this year. So that unit there, it was just there until the station opened. Some time ago, before we got 210, before it was approved, we had the peak staffing units, and we actually had two, and we've been through different rounds of how we staffed that. Rather than part-time, I call it peak time. It was put in place as they looked at the calls, the times where the call volume for EMS was going up. ALS response, EMS response was going up. We were getting a lot of help we were bringing more people in from Fairfax, Arlington, more units, in. And so this was a way to address, at that time, hey, these are the times we're getting more calls. Let's put this peak staffing unit in service, and we'll be able to handle those calls. That unit, as Firefighter Evans was said, also what it would help us do is we can move it around to different parts of it just ran out of 204. We needed a building and a place to put it, so that's why it went there, but it moved around. And so another unit could go to training while it covered its area and things like that. So that plan went away when we got 210. So now that unit, even though it's at 4, it's really 210's medic unit, so the plan is to move it.
Thank you. What information is available online about call volumes by station and by type of call? Is that information available to the public?
Yeah, it is. I think it's on there on our website. I don't know to what degree. It comes out in our responder newsletter that comes out. There should be a link on there. In the back of there, it says the call volumes and per station on there, and you can see the total year's call volume. So on the fire department's website, you should be able to get that. It depends on the level of detail. It's very generic, so it doesn't drill down a lot, but there is the ability to look at general information on it.
Thank you. I'd also suggest if you're looking for that sort of information, you can call the city's one-click number or service online to inquire about that. And Chief, another softball for you here. What is the geothermal system at Station 210?
Oh boy. That's the heating and air conditioning system. Don't get me to talk too technical now, but it helps with they drill down. It's a well, different wells drill down into the ground, and they use the groundwater temperature to actually help heat and cool the heating and cooling systems that run that station, basically.
Wow, terrific. This question is for Patrick. What was the worst fire you personally had to respond to, and was there ever a situation where you arrived at the scene of the fire and didn't have the resources you needed on site?
I'd probably say the worst situation that I've encountered probably when I was a rookie, and that was, of course, 9/11. That was actually my first year in the department. I probably had been here probably about 9 months at the time and been out on the street physically for about a little over 3 months at the time. So just seeing everything was just a surreal experience. You saw body parts, you saw everything collapse. It was probably the worst day that you can ever imagine, and that was it. And then me being new, I believed that I'm like, is this something that happens all the time? I mean, you never realize it because, I was so new at the time. But looking back now that I've been in it for almost 14 years, is that definitely was the worst experience that I've had in the fire department. And I could truly, honestly say that I probably have never felt that I didn't have enough resources on any fire that I've been a part of. I think we do an excellent job of training and preparing, and therefore, like any situation we come to, I think we're very prepared for it. However, the Pentagon was just something that that no one could ever imagine, and hopefully we won't imagine it anytime again in our lifetime.
Thank you. I hope not also. I have a three-part question here, and it has to do with Alexandria and our neighboring jurisdictions. And the first part is, what proportion of our emergency calls within the city limits are answered by Arlington or Fairfax or an out-of-city agency, whether it's EMS or fire? And do we likewise respond to emergencies outside of the city limits? And let's see. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and is it done on a contractual basis with those other units, or is it a formal or informal arrangement?
It's a formal arrangement that we have with our surrounding jurisdictions. We provide services to Arlington, Fairfax, Prince George's County, as well as DC if needed, and likewise they return the favor. That's a Northern Virginia, actually Maryland, DC as well, a contract that we have. It's called mutual aid, and we basically help out each other. There are parts in our city that Arlington units are closer to, like, for instance, the Bradley area, Bradley Shopping Center. Station 107 in Arlington is pretty much first due to that area because they have a station that's closest to that shopping center, that's closer to any of Alexandria unit. Same as what we were talking about the medic unit earlier, Medic 204. We figured once that medic unit went in service that it'll actually reduce call volume from other surrounding jurisdictions, such as Medic 411 running into our jurisdiction. But it's such a need for that the call volume hasn't actually went down. We're still running the same mutual aid from those cities, from those other jurisdictions into our city, and likewise responding. We had a fire in PG last Sunday, and we actually had to be one of the fill-in companies at one of their fire stations. So our engine actually had to leave our station, leave the city of Alexandria, and actually stay in their station for a few hours while they was had all their units out working several fires that were going on in the Prince George's County area. So we actually provide services to other jurisdictions, and we receive it, but it seemed like we go out more than they come in.
Thank
If
you.
I could just add, there's two types talking about mutual aid. There's mutual aid and automatic aid, so just so we're clear. And in Northern Virginia here, and here's a perfect spot, Skyline, pointing the wrong way. Skyline right here. We operate under automatic aid, which means us, Fairfax, Arlington, Fairfax City, and the airport, we're all under automatic aid, which means we send them. Okay, if you call, doesn't matter which jurisdiction, you're going to get the first units that are available. Prince George's, DC, Montgomery, we're more under mutual aid, which is sort of the same, but not. We may say, hey, we can't send you, we're down so many, and we can't. In Northern Virginia, we operate under the Northern Virginia operating manuals, so we all operate the same, under the same manuals, the same procedures on the fire ground. So when you're getting a unit from Arlington or Fairfax, they're operating under, we share radio channel, not share, to be able to switch to each other's radio channels. So that's kind of important to know too. I'm gonna look to Lonnie. I'm not sure, because you asked about on the EMS. I know we used to have more medic units coming in more than we were going out. I don't know if that's still the case. And he's shaking his head. Yeah, I thought so. So be sure I give you. So we're still getting, even with these 6 medic units, more medic units coming into the city to help us with our EMS response. I think that's right, but we'll double check that, but I think that's it.
Thank you. Is there any pattern of call volume relating to housing types? For example, is the volume higher or lower for single-family residences?
I would say that depends.
Yeah,
we do have our repeat offenders that we can say that that we run regularly. I mean, it's they have illnesses, they have needs that are pretty chronic, so we have to run them on a regular basis. And that could be any. That could be a single-family house, or it could be an apartment complex. However, it's probably more person-dependent than it is area-dependent. And we do run several calls that we run a lot. And then we also we run frequent calls that are related with the same response, like a particular building, for instance, fire alarm system may be malfunctioning, and we get it on an ongoing basis. So it's not, I would say it's more person dependent than it is area dependent.
Also with that, I think just the way the city's broken up, I believe the West End is one of the most densest cities, we have some of the most high-rise, especially unsprinkled high-rises in the area. So out here, the answer is obviously, yeah, we run more high-rises because they're all out here. And you get downtown, you have a lot of row houses and in the middle of the city, obviously more single-family homes. So it's kind of area dependent too, depending on where you are. Although downtown, they're going up too. So as you see the building, it's going up. So we'll be running just as many down there.
I have a question about volunteer firefighters. Is there still a volunteer firefighting organization in Alexandria?
Yes.
Can you tell us how that fits in with the paid force?
That is I would say, small organization. Some of them have been around for a long time. Generally, you won't see the volunteers. I think there's maybe one or two that actually get on the engines or trucks. You have to be certified to a certain level, a state level of training to get on. Not many of the volunteers you'll see on the engines or trucks. We do have a few that are on the medic units, so they are either EMTBs or I don't know if we have any paramedics. Yeah, actually, I think we do. So it's a small organization. Have a few active members that actually get on the apparatus and ride. Mostly what they do is help us with community events, or if we have a large storm, they do have a van and they can help us put support units in service to help us with wires down, blocking streets, anything like that. Jay Johnson's the president. If you want to talk to anybody who wants to sign up, I'm sure he'll take it. But yeah, we do still have.
Thanks very
volunteer.
much. Here's one that hits home for the folks in Cameron Station. For industrial problems like ethanol spills or asphalt fires, do you get adequate early warning? I'm not sure what the gist is there, but can you talk to? I guess that's a hazmat response, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about an adequate early. I mean, when it happens, whatever happens, we get the call, and we respond as we get the call. However, we have a really good hazmat team, and like I said, is a state team. So not only will you get our hazmat team, but Arlington and Fairfax as well could help out. But as soon as any hazmat response have to go out, you don't see just one truck. You see at least 3 trucks coming from that station that will actually provide any type of if it's a spill, if it's a cleanup or something, we'll have all the equipment needed to have there. So we'll have multiple hazmat trucks come to respond to the incidents. And then we also have the foam trailer if something happened at the ethanol plant as well.
Thank you. You gave the numbers of, I believe it was approximately 100 firefighters and 19 lieutenants and 28 or 29 captains, and then the chief's level. This question is, what is the personnel split in the fire department between EMS and firefighters? So I guess how does that 100 break down? Is it 25, 75?
It's like 70 EMS.
Yeah, it's like 73 FTEs for EMS. And it's 171. I say 171 for FES, Fire and Emergency Service, or the fire side.
Okay, thank you. What station will man the fireboat if Station 201 is closed?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's honestly, we don't anticipating closing 201 that I know of. So that would just be one of those, if the decision was made somehow through some process to close that station, we'd have to figure out who would be best to staff that station. 204 currently, and Pat's going to have, if that's still true, was the backup crew or the crew that would augment Station 201. So that may be the place, but honestly, that's just something we would have to figure out if that were to occur.
Sure.
Yeah, it arose several times, but I guess the backing of the community actually made sure that it didn't close, because that station, as you guys know, especially with the 204 fight out, I should say, if 204 would have left, that meant 201 would have actually been covering a lot of 204's area, would have pushed them out of 201's area. So every time you can't rob Peter to pay Paul, so you want to make sure you have all your bases covered. I know at one time we were looking at some properties down on the waterfront as well for when the new boat was coming, but that actually, when the waterfront project came, that took that away. So hopefully 201 won't close down anytime soon.
Thank you. A question for Mr. Soaps. The fire department was certainly in the purview of civic associations last year when there was consideration of moving equipment from North Old Town to the new fire station. Are there ongoing issues or continuing dialogue with the fire department over issues like staffing or response time from notice?
We have not really delved into that directly. The focus for notice has been more on the issues of surrounding development and environmental issues with the power plant, as well also all the new developments. And our big focus coming up in the next year is going to be, we hope, if the staff budget that is approved by City Council, to the updating and revision of the small area plan for North Old Town has been our priority. This Station 204 controversy came up as an issue of the moment, but no, that has not been a central focus for most of the associations in North Old Town.
Thank you. What proportion of calls are for EMS emergencies as opposed to fire suppression or other fire department operations?
It moves around a little bit, but generally 60+% of our calls are EMS related calls. The rest are fire and other emergencies.
I see. Thank you. If a fire were to occur here today, here at the Hermitage,
The exits are here and here.
The closest fire station, I understand, is at Bailey's Crossroads. Would they be the first responder, or would an Alexandria unit respond?
Yeah, 206 is right here on Seminary Road,
Okay.
so they would be first.
Very good.
You're going to get, this area here is one of the areas, I guess you would say, in Northern Virginia where you get the most combined response. So in this area, you're going to get Alexandria first, unless they're out of the station. If they're out on another call, then yeah, Bailey's might be first, depending on where they are, or Arlington's Engine 107 might even get here before them. They might even have a better shot, but generally we will get here first, as long as they're available. Alexandria's first.
Excellent. Okay, well, that concludes our questions, and I'd like to express our thanks to the three of you for joining us tonight and giving us these insights on the fire department and the life of a firefighter.
All right, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Is this off now? Good job.
Well, I want to thank Chief Bonet, Patrick, and Tom for joining us this evening and for a wonderful program with a lot of information. I think we've all learned a lot. And thanks to Tim and Connie and Roger for putting this wonderful program together. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving and a warm and meaningful holiday season. and look forward to seeing you all back on January 26th. Thank you.